Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site. Always 1776.com, a free site. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, folks, American history has had some awfully bizarre assassination attempts and or assassinations. Right? Understand, on January 30th, 1835, Richard Lawrence, from 5 to 6 feet away from President Andrew Jackson, pulls out a gun and fires at the president, 67-year-old president. The gun jams. It misfires. So, of course, prepared, Lawrence pulls out a second gun and fires at President Jackson from point-blank range. The second gun misfired. So, of course, our then 67-year-old president, who had a cane on him, started hitting the assassin. Others jumped in. Jackson, of course, survived. He hadn't been shot. Believe it or not, in the 19th century, the assassin was not put to death. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity, and he spent the rest of his life in a mental institution. Right? Understand the Lincoln assassination. We're supposed to believe that one of the country's best-known actors, John Wilkes Booth, shoots the president in a crowded Ford Theater, jumps off the stage, breaks his leg. Breaks his leg. Right? So he's there with a broken leg that somehow, by the way, he gets fixed, set by Dr. Mudd later. That's another scandal for another video. But just understand, somehow, with a broken leg, we're to believe that John Wilkes Booth makes it out of the building to his horse and is able to leave Washington, D.C. Right? Well, let me just say, Tyler Robinson, the guy who got a 34 on the ACT, why is that relevant? Right? Why is the fact that this guy got 99th percentile on the ACT relevant? Well, folks, what are the odds that Thomas Matthew Crooks, who shot President Trump, he's the guy who grazed Trump's ear before he lost his life, what are the odds that he, according to reports, got at least a 1500 on the SAT? What are the odds that both guys, both of these recent assassins, both of these young men, were supposed to be drifting through life, right? You know, neither of them was in Harvard. They were both supposed to be drifting through life, uncertain about their future, but yet they scored among the top percentile on the standardized college admissions tests. Right? Is this random? Is this something where valedictorian level guys just have some kind of proclivity to shoot at individuals with status? Or were these guys selected as part of some conspiracy to be the shooter? Let's go deeper, folks. Let's pivot right here. Let's ask a troubling question. Was Tyler Robinson even a shooter? Folks, whether or not Tyler Robinson shot the rifle, the Mauser, right? And it's interesting that the pick would be a Mauser, the type of gun that the police erroneously reported Oswald had fired. If you believe Oswald was a shooter, right, when they found the rifle, right? We now know it's a Mannlicher Carcano. But at the time they found the rifle, they thought it was a Mauser, right? Understand, too, with the Tyler Robinson story, the gun he fired from, untraceable. Well, what I want people to do is to look hard, and I mean this, even if he is the shooter, look hard at that video of him jumping off the building. Right? He's bending his legs, the rifle's not in his pants, the rifle wouldn't fit in a knapsack. He clearly doesn't have any time to disassemble the rifle. Folks, I've looked at that video ad nauseum. I have my doubts, and I believe they're reasonable doubts, on whether the figure who jumps off the building has an assembled rifle with him. Let me point out that there is what looks to be a towel. But when he lands, and I want you to do your own independent review of that video, when he lands, that towel bends. It couldn't be covering a rifle. It's too free. It's too easy. More importantly, it bends, and there doesn't look to be anything underneath it. Nothing whatsoever. Let me make another point too. The video where everyone starts to duck down, right? The moment after Charlie Kirk is hit, everyone starts to duck down. And the figure on the roof's already running. It's already running. Right? The figure on the roof, I don't even think has time to pick up a rifle and then start running. And if he did do that, I believe we would see a rifle. Even in the pictures of him running from far away, we would see him carrying something. We don't. So let's say Tyler Robinson, and I don't believe he fired anything on the roof. I'm not even sure if he had the gun on the roof. Right? I'm a skeptic to the point where I hear it's a rifle shot. I say, okay, well, let's see the bullet. Let's see if the bullet belongs with this gun. And then, of course, I hear that the bullet's in Charlie Kirk's body. How convenient. Right? The bullet doesn't even pass through Charlie Kirk's body, where you can look at the bullet and say, did this bullet come from this Mauser? No, the bullet's in Charlie Kirk's body. I'm just telling you. Even if Tyler Robinson is the guy on the roof, I have questions about that. And even if he fired the shots, how are 12 people going to look at the video of him jumping off the roof, if it's him, and be unanimous in believing the prosecution story that he's jumping off the roof with a fully assembled rifle? Let me go one step further, too. This couldn't have been the plan. It just couldn't. Let's use common sense. Some guy kills Charlie Kirk from being on a building. Then he's running right after the shots. Right? Running right after the shots. In other words, if because of acoustics you didn't know where the shot came from, right? You see Charlie Kirk get hit. You're looking around. You don't know where the shot came from. Well, here you look around and here's a guy running on the building when? Right after the shots. Then, of course, he dismounts by a crowded parking lot. That couldn't have been the plan. Right? One wonders if the plan was to have him confronted in the parking lot, only to have nothing on him. Let's talk about the evidence. And folks, let me just say, even the evidence is suspect. Right? Understand too the source of the evidence story. It's our FBI. It's Kash Patel. Right, folks? This is an investigation where the FBI has locked in the prosecution. They can't come up with some alternative story now, right? Because the FBI is the group that released this film of some person jumping off a building. And they told you that that was the suspect in the Charlie Kirk case. Right? You know all about this guy jumping off the building from who? Our FBI. Right? And so understand, on the roof, I'm going to believe that Tyler Robinson left behind a screwdriver. Right, folks? Okay. Let's say I want to follow the theory here. It's possible Tyler Robinson could have had a screwdriver on the roof. Right? That's possible. You know, it's possible that if the photos they have of his doppelganger, right, you know, going to the event with a knapsack, if those photos are Tyler Robinson, I'm not even sold on that. I'll agree that the screwdriver could have been in the knapsack. Right? I'm a skeptic. I'll concede that one. Right? Maybe he's on the roof with the screwdriver. Folks, that doesn't make him an assassin. He needs to have a rifle on the roof. Folks, how does he get the rifle on the roof? Do we know? Let's also ask another foundational question, and it's why I don't believe there's ever a rifle on the roof. If the FBI really wanted us to believe that Tyler Robinson was on the roof with a rifle, given that there are cameras all over, folks, there are cameras all over, rather than release some video of some guy jumping off a roof, why not just show us a couple of photos of the guy on the roof with a gun? Right? Why are there no photos released of the guy on the roof with a gun? Why am I hearing about a screwdriver when you could have shown me the suspect on the roof with a gun? Let's go even further. Right? You know, Kash Patel actually said they're going to look into all scenarios. What other scenarios are there to look into? If I have conclusive evidence of a guy with a gun on the roof, right, folks, I don't need to think about other scenarios. Right? Can't I just say, hey, here's the guy who's the suspect on the roof with the rifle? Right, folks, they haven't shown you any such film. If you have a photo of the guy on the roof with the rifle, why am I hearing about a screwdriver? Is it possible that the guy on the roof might or might not be Tyler Robinson? Is it possible the video is less than clear? Because if the video's precise, if the FBI has clear video of Tyler Robinson on the roof with a rifle, why would I ever hear, ever, about a screwdriver on the roof? Not only that, they are telling you that Tyler Robinson's DNA is on the gun. But where was the gun found? Not on the roof. No, it was found in the woods. Right now, folks, let's be skeptics. Are you sure that that rifle found in the woods is even involved in this Charlie Kirk shooting? Are you? I know somebody wants you to believe that because we're hearing about writings on bullets and stuff like that. But folks, are you certain? Because I don't see the rifle when the person dismounts the roof. I don't see it. Right? And so let me just say it's entirely possible. Let's just go through some scenarios. It's entirely possible that Tyler Robinson, one scenario, is never on the roof. Folks, no one stops him and talks to him after he gets off the roof. Another scenario is that he is on the roof with a screwdriver, a knapsack, and a towel. Whatever you see him with when he jumps off the roof. It's possible that's what he had on the roof. Right, folks? Any pictures of a rifle on the roof haven't been released. Why not? They're seeking the death penalty. They are trying to get this guy to confess. They're seeking the death penalty. Wouldn't the way to get you to strike a deal with the prosecution before a lot of money is spent is for them to say, player, here's your photo on the roof holding the rifle. Here's the photo of you shooting the rifle. Right, folks? Why is that not released? Folks, you should have doubts. My point to you is, if they don't have that photo, and all they have is a screwdriver that anyone who wanted to frame Tyler Robinson could, grab, sneak out of his place, go on the roof, plant it. Whether or not they're the shooter, they could be some conspirator looking for a patsy. Right? All the FBI has is that screwdriver on the roof. Are we supposed to believe that he assembled the gun on the roof? Because, folks, half the country's online saying they know firearms and that disassembled, the gun couldn't fit in the knapsack. Right? I mean, just understand, why would he bring a screwdriver with him with a gun that he didn't disassemble? Right? He couldn't bring with him in the knapsack. Let's just think it through. So, of course, the screwdriver's conveniently left on the roof. The gun found in the bushes doesn't seem to appear on the video of the guy jumping off the roof. Right? If they show up in court with the gun that the New York Post published a picture of, and it's big rifle, doesn't that finish the prosecution's case? Because I'm going to then look at the video and I'm going to say, wow, I don't see this gun in the video. Isn't that the closing for Tyler Robinson's defense team? Okay, you see this big firearm here that they're saying was the murder weapon. Where is it in the video of the guy jumping off the roof? Didn't the FBI tell you that the guy jumping off the roof is the shooter? Where's the gun? What credibility does the FBI have if they're publicly releasing stories that are unsupported by their own videos? Where's the security video of the guy on the roof? Right? Also, folks, let's just use common sense. I was 22 once. If I'm lying on the roof and I've spent time aiming a rifle and I get off a shot, right? One shot at 22, wow, what a hell of a shot from 200 yards. I get off one shot and oh, it's the kill shot. I don't even have to, fire a second shot. Now you tell me why I would not fire a second shot. Charlie Kirk, he's hit. Isn't his body still upright? Isn't he upright and blood is gushing out of his neck? Isn't he upright at least a second after he's shot? Now I'm an assassin, right? Apparently my getaway plan is to jump off the building with the rifle. If that's the getaway plan, then the assassin was planning on suicide by cop. Well, let me just say, if my goal that day is to kill Charlie Kirk, and I get one shot off and it hits Charlie Kirk, don't I get another shot off? I mean, folks, stuff's happening so fast. Even Oswald, if you believe the official story, fires multiple bullets at Kennedy. Right? One shot goes through him. One shot's the magic bullet, goes through him, hits Connolly, if you believe the folklore. And that shot's not enough. Oswald fires the fatal headshot. Right here, we're to believe that from 200 yards away, Tyler Robinson hits Charlie Kirk. It's a throat shot. Charlie Kirk's frozen. Does Robinson stick around to aim again and shoot the kill shot? Does Robinson say, I've hit him in the neck, let me move that shot over and hit him in the forehead? No. If we are to believe the video of the person on the roof running across the roof, literally right after the shots fired, right, you have to believe that Robinson, who is supposed to be a 22-year-old electrical apprentice, not a professional hitman that we know of, Robinson shoots Kirk. Kirk's hit in the neck. The people around Kirk think they can still save his life, right? They rush him to a hospital. But Tyler Robinson is certain that Kirk's finished. He immediately gets off the floor. Now keep in mind, he's aiming a rifle, he's lying prone. We're supposed to believe that he gets off the floor instantaneously with the rifle, reaches for his knapsack, reaches for a towel, and in those early moments is running across the roof faster than people on Charlie Kirk's floor level can duck. Folks, the person on the roof starts running too fast. Right? If Tyler Robinson had the towel to hide the firearm, that would take more time than the person running on the roof shows in running on the roof. Right? I would have to, after I get off the perfect shot, immediately assume from 200 yards, Kirk's finished. I don't need a second shot. Even though he's still there sitting in the chair and people are cowering, I'm not going to take a second shot. Then I would get up, grab my stuff, and be running all within 2 seconds. Folks, the timeline doesn't work. the film doesn't work, the getaway plan is not credible, right? If the getaway plan was this 22-year-old is going to jump off a side of a building that's secluded, that'd be ridiculous. Here he jumps off a part of a building that's next to a crowded parking lot with people walking around. Right, folks? We're in a cell phone era. Understand, I don't have to chase you if you're fleeing a murder with a high-powered rifle wrapped in a towel and have jumped off a roof in front of me. I don't have to chase you. I can just take out my phone and call 911 and say, hey, I'm here in the parking lot era and some guy just hopped off the roof with what looked to be a rifle. Not that anyone could see that, because of course we can't see it on the film. But understand, all I have to do is make calls and say, hey, some dude with a firearm is here on this campus running through this parking lot next to these stores, right? Let's say I don't know the addresses, right? I've been in the parking lot, but I just know, hey, there's a Taco Bell or whatever, right? I can say, hey, that Taco Bell on this street, some dude just jumped off the roof in front of me. Right, folks? Nobody we know of made any such call. Nobody we know of reported seeing a guy with a rifle on a campus where a public figure had just been assassinated. Right? So here's the lay of the land. We're in a zone here where the prosecution can't convict Tyler Robinson. The rifle doesn't show up on the video of him jumping off the building. We have no idea how he got that rifle on campus. None whatsoever. We have photos of someone walking to the event. Those photos don't show that person with a rifle. How hard is it going to be to have a knapsack at Tyler Robinson's trial and then to point out that the rifle, which no doubt the prosecution is going to have there, doesn't fit in the knapsack? Understand too, it's an older Mauser. So to disassemble it and then to assemble it would take a lot of time. We know that didn't happen here because we have the guy running across the roof almost the moment after Charlie Kirk is hit. Quite frankly, they might have blown the time. The guy on the roof might have started running before Charlie got hit. Just food for thought. And there's no visual of the rifle. As I said here earlier, when his feet hit the ground at the bottom of the building, I want you to look at the towel he has. It waves. There's nothing underneath that towel. Certainly not a rifle. Let me say too, we don't know what the person who jumped off the roof had in his knapsack when he gets there and goes up on the roof. Right? I suspect there might be some telescopic type rod or something that is more manageable than a rifle that he could put under a towel and make it look like he's carrying something. But it's clear that he's not carrying a rifle. At least it's doubtful as to whether he's carrying a rifle. And folks, Johnny Cochran said, if the gloves don't fit, you must acquit. Here, if the guy jumping off the roof isn't carrying a rifle, you have to acquit. If you have doubts, reasonable doubts, that the guy jumping off the roof isn't carrying a rifle because you see the towel waving, you must acquit. No rifle during the off the roof jump means that the guy making the off the roof jump did not shoot Charlie Kirk because the rifle is not found on the building. The rifle is found in the woods. Now let's get deeper, right? Because folks, you need to think about all possibilities. If the guy who jumps off the roof isn't the shooter, we know somebody is, right? Is it possible that the guy who jumps off the roof is a decoy to the point where there's another plan, where the person who actually shot Charlie Kirk from a different angle, right? One where it's believable that the bullet is still in Charlie Kirk's body, because the bullet would then hit spinal cord, not from the angle of Tyler Robinson, allegedly, but from a different angle, off at the side. Is it possible, since that we don't know who the actual shooter of Charlie Kirk is, and the actual shooter then left the scene of the crime not by running across some roof, but by dipping in a doorway, going down some stairs, right, folks? There's construction going on that campus, right? Someone could have been there looking like a member of a construction crew, right? Let's say the real shooter leaves the scene, makes it to the woods, leaves the gun there, right? Is it possible that the film of someone jumping off the roof is just a distraction, so that the real killer was able to exit the scene without being seen, which may have been exactly what happened, right? There are people in the first moment when Charlie Kirk is shot, there are people in the crowd looking in a different direction. In other words, they hear the acoustics, and they were looking at where they thought the acoustics came from, right? That angle would explain how a bullet from a rifle would stay in Kirk's body, because it would have hit hard bone, not soft neck tissue, right? Is it possible that the real killer dropped off the rifle in the woods, right, in such a way as to suggest that Tyler Robinson was involved, right? Because Tyler's DNA is on the rifle. It could be as simple as using Tyler's rifle to do the assassination. Or, and let's go there, I'm not convinced that the photos of the person going to the crime scene are actually Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson himself joked about his doppelganger. Right, folks? Is it possible that this is all a house of illusions? That somebody who looked like Tyler Robinson may have been on that roof, may be the one running across the roof, and that the actual Tyler Robinson, maybe even a second doppelganger, is the gunman who found a way to then drop the gun off in the spot, right? The deal was you be the decoy, but if you exit this way, it'll be obvious that you don't have a gun. You'll have a defense. at a murder trial, right? The defense is simply, hey, if it's me jumping off the building, where's the gun? The defense could also even include experts saying, look, the autopsy of Charlie Kirk, and that's been hushed up, hasn't it? The autopsy of Charlie Kirk shows that the gun couldn't have been fired from the building you claim my client jumped off of. Right? Then the jury could ask tough questions. How does a high-powered rifle bullet not go through someone's neck and come out the back? Right? So let's just say the story we're being fed is hogwash. Let's just say that I'm chagrined, to say the least, that there seems to be some complex where people scoring in the upper percentiles of college admissions tests are overrepresented in recent assassination attempts. Right? Let me say, too, that, if you're going to accuse a guy of a death penalty offense, why would the FBI director say that they're going to look at all possible theories and stuff like that? If you know this is the guy who did it to the point where you're charging him with the death penalty, why would you be talking about other theories and stuff like that? I believe there are holes in the prosecution's case. The fact that the FBI released this guy jumping off the roof, and many people like me are looking at the film and saying, whoa, where's the gun? I don't understand it. Then they're telling you he didn't leave the gun on the roof. He's supposed to have the gun in the video. That's insulting to people's intelligence. There's no way you're going to get a guilty verdict from a jury on that video. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comments section of this YouTube video. I believe the shots came from someplace else, folks. I can't explain how the gun got to the wooded area, but I know the guy who jumped off the roof wasn't the person who put it there. Those are my thoughts. I look forward to yours. Thanks for stopping by.